Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another review on Once Upon a Review. Today we're going to be talking about Rise of Skywalker, which is finally here. We're really excited to talk about it. It was a pretty long movie, so we're going to try not to be all over the place. We're going to talk about what we didn't like, what we liked, and then we're going to review it for you guys. So here it goes.
The synopsis for The Rise of Skywalker. The surviving resistance faces the First Order once more as Rey, Finn, and Poe's journey continues. With the power and knowledge of generations behind them, the final battle commences. Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. How's this movie even more controversial than The Last Jedi? People are so all over the place.
The directors.
The directors, yes. So we know The Last Jedi, we had Rian Johnson, and then we have J.J. Abrams for Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker. What people, the reasons they didn't like the movie are just all over the place. Last Jedi, you had the critics love it, the audience hated it. Absolutely just hated it for the most part.
Yeah.
And then vice versa here. Rise of Skywalker got, I think, a 56. A 56. You're talking about the epic conclusion of the whole saga. You got a 56 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Hey, just came out. Hope those ratings get better.
Yeah. Well, I don't see that happening, but seems like the audience for the most part liked it.
Yeah.
But then the people that really didn't. In fact, they almost hated it.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's like you said. It was just very controversial. There was a lot of different things that happened in this one that just didn't go with the other one, and it's just
And that's something that bothers me a bit, right? Because a lot of people are seeing it as Rian Johnson versus J.J. Abrams instead of seeing it as, okay, episode 8, and then we got episode 9 right after it.
Right.
In my eyes, I think it continues pretty well. One of the topics was, the treatment of Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, how everyone just completely hated it. And we all saw that opening scene where Rey hands him the lightsaber and he just tosses it. And then, in Rise of Skywalker, it's his Force Ghost pretty much grabbing the lightsaber as she tosses it into the fire. I see that as the same character. Because at the end of Last Jedi, he grows. He finally knows what he was doing.
Right.
The hiding and everything was wrong.
Right.
And that's
he
when
says that.
Right. And that's when he projects his himself, onto Crate and faces Kylo Ren to save the Resistance. That's the same Luke Skywalker that carries on to Rise of Skywalker. So I really feel like people didn't like this movie for all the wrong reasons. So we're going to talk about the reasons we didn't like it and the reasons we did like it.
Alright, I would say the reasons I didn't like it is the kiss. I felt was a bit forced. Like, I know they had a connection, but if they already knew that Ben was going to die, then I don't think that the kiss should have happened, because to me it wasn't as satisfying since he didn't live.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if he were to live, then I think, the kiss would have been meaningful. They could have had something. But the fact that they just kiss and that's it reminds me a bit of, like, Romeo and Juliet. They have this crazy love romance that's not meant to be, but yet they like each other, and there's something, and then they die. Or, well, one of them dies, in this case.
Right.
So it's just, what else is there that's gonna happen? And then Rey goes back, and, once she meets everyone that just fought in the Resistance, she just doesn't say anything about it. Like, not even, Ben's dead. Like, nothing was said about him. So I think that really kind of hurt my feelings.
Wow, would it hurt your feelings?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't mind the kiss. I
liked it at first, but then when we saw it the second time.
When you thought about it more?
Yeah. And I thought about it more.
Yeah.
I didn't...
And so far, she's seen it twice. I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I didn't mind the kiss. I didn't think there was any point to the kiss.
Right.
But I didn't hate it.
Yeah. It's like they had a connection, but okay.
I guess it did feel a little forced because at this point, it's an assumption that everyone's seen all 3 movies. So you guys know that there's a connection between them, right? It's not like we needed to see it physically.
And figuratively.
Right. We didn't need to see it physically expressed in a kiss, because it did. I guess the more I think about it, it feels forced. So
yeah.
Okay. That's a reason.
Yeah.
What else didn't work? How do you feel about the pacing of the movie?
I really like the pacing. Honestly, I think that it was very jam packed with just one thing after another. They just kept going and going and
Mm-hmm.
going. There was no part where it was just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, I think that they had really great action in there, and the characters were great. I mean,
The characters were amazing.
wonderful.
Honestly.
I think that they really just got so much better from before.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other thing that I didn't like was, yeah, I just mentioned the characters, but the character of Rose, I don't really think they gave her justice in this one. And I know the critics from before and, you know, a lot of people's reviews on her character was just that she didn't do anything and that, you know,
her scenes were pointless.
Yeah, it was pointless
right.
and all of these things. But I don't think that the scene on Cantonica, which is where they did the casino scene, was pointless at all because it really showed, you know, her background and it showed her part in this saga.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they touched base on all of that and then now she's here and is just a background character making some comments about what's the status on the resistance.
Yeah, it really seemed like she was just a filler, pretty much, to
up the
why
scenes even have her? Flow. Why even have her? Why even have
Which
her?
It's a huge downgrade, and honestly, it's kind of a slap in the face from J.J. Abrams, and kind of confirms, or like it's almost like he's siding with all the fans that had a problem with Rian Johnson's films, with The Last Jedi. So yeah, I felt like that was a huge slap in the face, but I didn't really feel like. Of course, you know, from one movie to another, the characters progress, but I didn't feel that there was that much of a change to where people are saying that, you know, J.J. Abrams pretty much purposely tried to just wash away everything that Rian Johnson had in Last Jedi. I didn't get that vibe.
Yeah, not even wash away, though. It's more along the lines, I think, of him trying to fulfill his thoughts and ideas with him not being the director of The Last Jedi.
He pretty much made a sequel to Force Awakens with this movie, which
Right.
that wasn't supposed to be the purpose of this movie. This movie was supposed to wrap up not only the trilogy, the sequel trilogy, but the entire saga.
Right.
And I don't feel like it did that.
No.
So I can't say it met my expectations in you know those terms, but it was a good movie. It was a fun movie. The pacing was there.
Graphics were great.
Oh, the graphics, yeah. Cinematography, the music, of course. I mean, that's always going to be a Star Wars thing, you know. And
really
another thing, you know, people didn't like about this movie is that it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie. And I just don't know how much more you could have made like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I
mean,
don't know
so
how
many
much more
things.
either. So many things. Just the surprises and the, oh, you're related to this person.
Right, I mean, and all the silly things. Like, that's what makes Star Wars Star Wars.
That is Star Wars. That is definitely Star Wars.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I understand.
This was something, not that I had a problem with, but when we hear all the Force voices, I wanted to actually see the Force ghosts. I wanted to see Anakin. I wanted to see, you know, Leia's Force ghost. I wanted to see all of them at the end come out, Yoda, and, you know, help her against Palpatine, which maybe it would have been forced, maybe, but I would have rather that than voices. But I still thought it was pretty cool. I was not expecting that.
I mean, I knew they would come back, but yeah, I thought they would come back visually, not just by, you know, her thoughts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a bit disappointed in that too, but it wasn't like a major letdown because I didn't know what to expect, but I think that it was great that they even had the voices in there. Oh,
for sure. And then all the new Force powers, I don't know where some of them came from.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was really cool to see, but it wasn't really explained. I did like the Force Echoes, because we saw that if you guys played Jedi Fallen Order, we saw, you know, Force Echoes in the game, and I just thought it was really cool how they incorporated it with Rey.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun to see on screen. And then just everything, I think for me, the most consistent character of the whole trilogy was Kylo Ren. Consistent in terms of just, he was very likable, and he was really intriguing. And I just, you know, the whole time you're wondering, like, is he going to make that switch to the light side, or is he going to, you know, stay in the dark side and become even darker, even worse? At the end of Last Jedi, he becomes the Supreme Leader. So at that point, you know, he's the furthest he could be from the light side, pretty much.
Right.
But then it's his connection with Rey, and, you know, that's what gives you hope. And that's pretty much how it was with, you know, from the original trilogies, Luke and Vader. You know, Vader was the right hand to Palpatine, And here's Luke, someone that doesn't have as much experience or training with the Force,
Mm-hmm.
but he's got hope, and he's trying to make that connection with Vader, and ultimately that's why Vader ends up switching sides at the end and saving Luke. And I mean that's exactly what happens in this movie. So
Right.
everyone that's like upset with Kylo Ren's story arc or how it wraps up, once again, how much more like Star Wars could this movie be?
Yeah, I think that it really went full circle because if you remember, obviously, I mean, Vader, which winds up turning back into Anakin, just like how Kylo turned back into Ben.
Right.
Anakin died for saving something that he loved. Okay, like for instance, Rose, when she says in The Last Jedi to Finn, when she's about to die, or, passes out or whatever, she says to him, this is not how we're going to win by killing what we hate. It's by saving what we love.
Yeah.
And Anakin did that to save Luke, and then Ben does that to save Rey. Full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Full circle. So that's what Star Wars is. It's
right.
it's sacrificing yourself to save what you love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't put it any more.
Right, and unfortunately, I do feel like even though some characters still carry that theme, I feel like the movie entirely didn't carry that theme as it did in The Last Jedi, and that's another thing I didn't really like about Rise of Skywalker. It's the lack of direction, because I would have much rather have either J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson direct all three movies, or if you guys, we're going to go the route of having one director for this, one director for that, have an entirely new director for the third and final episode, but instead you get, once again, J.J. Abrams pretty much trying to do a sequel to Episode 7.
He had too much baggage. Too much baggage that he wanted to prove, and he needed to satisfy himself with that.
Exactly.
It just didn't
satisfy
work.
himself, and I mean, there was a lot of fan service, and it's like, while you're watching the movie, you're enjoying the hell out of it, and it's like epic, and it's fun and adventurous. All the things that Star Wars is.
Right.
But you leave the movie feeling like, I was a little underwhelmed with how it wrapped up as a saga, because this is a Skywalker saga at the end of the day. And even though some characters they wrapped up pretty well, others they kind of didn't, and it just makes you wonder if there's going to be any future for them. If maybe we're going to see them in a TV show or a movie, because like a character like Finn, it was teased in the movie and it was confirmed after, which I don't know why they didn't do this in the movie, that he's Force sensitive, right? Obviously, but some people, I mean, it went right over their heads.
I don't understand that.
Right, yeah. Why not make that clear in the movie? I think a lot of people would have liked the character even more, because, a lot of people had a problem with Finn in this movie. They loved how he was in Force Awakens. They thought he was a complete waste in Last Jedi and that he didn't serve any purpose, pretty much with Rose. And then in this movie, they were just kind of on the fence about him. Because, he's pretty much a stormtrooper that escapes, and it would have been really cool to show that he's Force sensitive and all that. It makes him a lot more interesting, which, for the most part, I mean, Finn was interesting. Him and Poe.
Very interesting characters. And I
really
think
fun to watch, too.
Really fun.
Yeah.
But to touch base on the Force and the feeling of it, I think, them bringing that into this episode this late, with it being the final of the saga, it's just, why kind of bring that up now? That leaves just too many questions, especially, for people that only have watched the movies like me. I've only watched the movies. So when I see him having those senses, it's just like, okay, now what else is there going to be? There's nothing else. I mean, unless 10 years from now, 20 years from now, they do the same thing and make something else. Because what Finn keeps saying is, if you believe.
Right.
If you believe.
Right.
So, I mean, that was something else that I didn't really care.
So just, a few inconsistencies here and there, and a few things left unanswered. But for the most part, the pace was really good.
Yeah.
And it was funny. C-3PO.
Oh
this is my favorite C-3PO.
So funny. I loved him.
Ever. I mean, he was awesome. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Yep. I love little
creatures.
Just like the child in The Mandalorian. I just love him. I just want to pinch his cheek.
That's Star Wars.
And Boba
Star Wars.
Is hilarious.
I did have a problem with how they wrapped Leia's story up, and I'm just gonna say I'm sure it was because of the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher. They were kind of forced to wrap it up that way.
Right.
I do like how they made the most out of it and kind of tied it in to Kylo Ren. In with Kylo Ren. And my favorite scene of the entire movie, which lasted about 10, 15 seconds, was Kylo and Han Solo.
Yeah.
You know, that was a perfect callback to when they're on the bridge at the end of Force Awakens. And as you guys saw, Kylo kills Han, and it's like they're having the same conversation. It's, you know, except this time it's Kylo pretty much is already on the light side. And it's just awesome to see his transition. And man, Kylo Ren at the end of that movie, you pretty much, it's like seeing Han Solo. You know, the way he was running with the blaster, shooting behind him without even looking. And, you know, one scene where, you know, Rey, she switches the lightsaber to him, and he pulls it out, and he's like, you know, he's like ready to kick ass, and I just love that. I mean, that was so awesome.
It was really cool.
So,
I really like
really,
that.
really fun overall. But, yeah, just, you know, a couple of things unanswered. A couple of things that they kind of forced into the movie. You know, like the Knights of Ren, I thought they looked so dope, but the fact that we don't get any information about them, we don't see them do anything. They're literally thrown into a fight with Ren at the end of the movie. That, you know, I mean, it was fun to watch, but you don't know what kind of connection or you know, just anything about the group, so it wasn't as interesting. You know, once again, as fun as it wasn't as interesting.
Yeah.
And then everything with Emperor Palpatine. I mean, he's.
But that's Star Wars too.
That is Star Wars.
He survived, like
yes.
Vader.
Yes.
I mean, dude, do you not remember him freaking getting eaten up by lava? And how did he survive? I mean, yeah, we saw Vader.
The Force.
Right, but we saw him obviously crawl up, and we knew that there was something. Whereas Palpatine, we didn't see him survive.
I'm not saying how he didn't survive. I mean, hey, I'm glad.
But
I'm glad the boy survived.
The dark magic.
Not the dark magic, like the dark force and everything. Sure, yeah. You know, there's cloning and everything. Even one of the characters from the Resistance, you know, says something. It might have been cloning or whatever. That's not the issue. The issue is just. Like, why throw him in the very first... Like, I think Emperor Palpatine was the first line in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why was that information already in the scroll? Yeah. It was creepy. I love that, man. I love that. But why throw him in the beginning of the movie? I would have loved if he would have been, like, the big reveal.
Yeah.
Or just, like, the, you know... I thought Snoke was a lot more interesting, honestly. I mean, he's a lot more
Snoke
terrifying.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Snoke
you see Palpatine, you're just like... Fuck, man.
Yeah.
You know, just like a creepy old guy. I mean, of course, all the original Star Wars fans, like, know who Emperor Palpatine is, but, you know, I mean, it was still fun. It was still fun to see him and Rey, and then, you know, when we get the reveal that she's his granddaughter, some people like that, some people didn't. I'm still on the fence about it.
That's the whole Star Wars thing, too.
It is. No, it is. I just like the whole message in Last Jedi that pretty much anyone could be a hero if you believe, you know.
Right. I like that too.
So I just felt like they kind of went backwards or back on their words with that. But
yeah, well, no, because the thing that I really love about this one, about the Rise of Skywalker, is the fact that in The Last Jedi, on Crate, they were saying after they had called out for the Resistance that the Resistance got the message, but no one is coming.
Right.
You know, and then now in The Rise of Skywalker, hey, Lando got everybody to come. So I think that it really did tie into that. That, yeah, you think that the Resistance is over, but no, it's not. And that all these people came to fight. I think that tied in really well.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I would rate this movie...
Let's not forget, though, you did say at some point this was the perfect film. So
I think that it was
standards.
I think that it was great. I think that it was great.
What's great translate to?
I think this was one of my favorite movies of this year.
Okay.
I would give it a solid, you know, this is not talking about the fact, you know, all the little things that I didn't like. It was talking about the fact of the action, the graphics, the music, the characters. You know, those are going to be what I'm rating it for.
Right,
on the technical term, not all the backstory.
Right.
Is I would say about a 9.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I give some high ratings, but you know,
I respect that.
I think
a 9 for episode 9.
There's
I love that.
there's so much that goes into making these movies. You know, it takes more than a village, you know. There's so many pieces and parts that goes into this that, I mean, if you don't like it, you're really not appreciative, and I don't think that you deserve to watch it, you know, because there's
That's bold.
There's just so much that happens to make these types of movies, you know. And Star Wars started the first of its kind, you know, 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago. That it's just where it's come now. It's amazing, and to be living in a time that now this is Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, and for people to say, "Oh, it could have been better," and this and stuff, like, okay, yeah, a little technical stuff again, yeah, could have been better, but all in all, it was amazing. It was fun, and I enjoyed watching every second of it. Yeah.
I'm very glad that we have fans like her. That, there's still hope for Star Wars. I mean, look, I've loved Star Wars ever since I was 6 years old. I grew up pretty much with the prequels, so I mean, I don't hate like episode 1 and 2 as much as most people do. And I've loved every Star Wars movie pretty much. I've loved the spin-offs. I've even loved that.
Solo
TV
was
shows.
good.
Yeah, I really liked Solo. Like she said, on a technical term, it was very enjoyable. I appreciate what they did. What the filmmaker put into the director, the writers, all that. Even though I thought there was a lot of plot holes, inconsistencies. At the end of the day, it's a Star Wars film, and I mean, you can't tell me even like your favorite Star Wars episode. You can't tell me there's not a plot hole in there.
Right.
There's no inconsistencies. I mean, at the end of the day, Star Wars isn't about making a perfect film. It's about making one you can relate to, one that impacts you in a way that is very personal to you. You know what this movie is going to mean to me or make me feel. It's not going to make you feel the same.
Right.
And that's what Star Wars has always been. Right. So to me, I really love this movie. I enjoyed watching it. I had expectations that were not met, but it doesn't mean that I didn't love it. It was just, I guess, another direction I would have went in. Because once again, this movie was labeled as the conclusion of the saga, not the trilogy.
Right.
As a conclusion of the trilogy, I mean, I thought this movie was really good. It wrapped up all the characters' arc, besides a few, which I didn't mind because at the end of the day, they could always, do TV shows or future movies. As the conclusion of the saga, I was a little underwhelmed, like I said. But at the end of the day, it was really, really fun. I enjoyed it. And, I mean, there were some scenes in there that were some of my favorite scenes in the whole saga, in the entire saga. So I'm going to have to rate it an 8 out of 10. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Not
I
bad.
think it was a fun film. I mean, I've seen it 3 times already, and I plan on seeing it at least 2 more times.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Dobie?
Oh, my God, yes. This movie, you definitely want to experience it.
Your seat shakes. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. It just, and that scene where Emperor Palpatine just throws up, shoots up the thunder, and it hits like a million fleets. Man, like watching that in theater with the seat, fucking amazing.
Great.
So, that was our review of Skywalker.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, like you enjoyed the movie, hopefully. We will be doing a discussion.
Yeah, definitely a discussion so that we can go more in depth of everything and talk about more things. Because there's things I don't know, there's things that, he knows more than me, and I plan on doing more research about because there's just so much lore.
And that's the point of Star Wars too. Like it makes you want to talk about it. It's about space, the unknown. There's so many things out there, and I think it's just awesome to create a discussion. Even after the movie's ended, even after the saga's pretty much wrapped up, there's still a lot for us to talk about. You know. So it's just awesome, yeah. So I mean, you should really, if you've been a fan of Star Wars, don't let one movie change your mind or take that away from you.
Yeah.
It's still Star Wars, It's still these characters. I mean, Luke's still, there. Leia's still there. Han is still there, and these pretty much are their, whether it's their grandkids or whether it's friends that they've helped. That's what Star Wars is. It's that connection that it makes.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely. All right. We'll be back. Hope y'all enjoyed. Stay tuned.